back on Power and Politics, only on News 12 New Jersey, as local news gets. I'm Steve Kornacki, along with my co-host for the day, Rider University political science professor David Rebovich. This year, the media has focused and is going to continue to focus an enormous amount of attention on the presidential race. Probably should be that way. But every seat in the House of Representatives is also going to be up this year, and that's true in this state as well, obviously. In New Jersey, there really weren't that many close races, congressional races in 2002. The question is it going to be any different in 2004? We're joined now by George Ajjan, who's from Paterson, the 8th District, and he's hoping to be the Republican challenger to Congressman Bill Pascrell this fall in the 8th District. You say you're from Paterson. That's right. Parts of Passaic County, parts of Essex County. Right. Probably Democratic territory. You know, if you get the Republican nomination, and I know we should point out there's talk there might be another Republican candidate interested in this thing. He hasn't filed yet, but you might have a primary to deal with. But if you get the Republican nomination, you're probably going to be facing a pretty uphill fight. You know, how do you approach it?
Well, first of all, let me say, if we were taping Power and Politics 230 years ago, I'd imagine you'd be interviewing the likes of George Washington and Sam Adams and saying to them, come on, British Army. You know, you guys are a bunch of...
You were alive back then, weren't you?
I think I mentioned Alexander Hamilton, actually.
Founder of Paterson, but, you know, you ragtag militia. So if I put myself in that category, I'd be honored to be considered a ragtag freedom fighter against a stale bureaucracy. So anything can be done with the right attitude, and there's certainly no such thing as an invincible incumbent. And Congressman Pascrell does not fit the bill in terms of being invincible, and I intend to defeat him in November.
As I see it, you know, the two biggest problems you have in New Jersey, really three. One for any challenger for congressman is that the map is drawn to favor incumbents. There's no getting around that. Two, the incumbents have lots of money. You've got to raise a ton of money. And three, you know, we have you on here, and we enjoy talking about it, but by and large, the media doesn't cover it. That seems like a tremendous amount to deal with.
Issue, recognition, message, money.
And certainly I've considered all those. And when I first started looking at this endeavor to run for Congress, you know, as you said, there are 435 seats that are up for grabs every 2 years. And I was surprised to find that pretty much 400 of them are in the category you mentioned, you know, not really competitive. There's an incumbent that has very good name recognition, and people say, well, if I want to be a part of the political process, I might as well support the guy that's going to have favors to dole out. But I think what's harmful about that system is that it's not competitive, and the voters are the ones that suffer. I mean, I am an unabashed capitalist, and I believe, as any person who believes in free markets, that competition is, and the same way we can apply that to economic markets, we should apply to political markets as well, which in this case is a campaign. When you have an incumbent who has no opposition, and he's sending out mailings to Congressman Pascrell or any incumbent, you know, Republican or Democrat, would naturally do, telling everyone I voted for this and I'm so wonderful and I got you all these favors. If there's no opposition with sufficient energy and funding going out there and saying, well, hold on a second, he's also voted for this, this, and this, which may not suit the views of the constituents of this district, the people end up suffering because maybe they're not getting the kind of representation they deserve.
Richard, President Bush's approval ratings in New Jersey have kind of returned to typical Republican levels, 40–45%. And all jokes aside, the anticipation is that President Bush may not be so competitive in November 2004. Would that hurt your campaign? Normally a newcomer can...
Well, let me address that by saying this. I am a Republican, and my first name is George, but I am not necessarily a spokesman for the president. I happen to agree with the president on a number of issues, particularly the tax cuts. There are areas of, frankly, areas of disagreement with the president, and you know, I look forward to discussing those with the constituents of the district, and I think that my platform and my stand on the issues is smart and sensible and suits the constituents of the 8th District. So I'm really not concerned about that. I think the Republican Party clearly, as we've seen in last November's results, is at somewhat of a low point in this state, and I think young candidates like myself who have the intention of going out there and reinvigorating the party and spreading the message in a new way could be very successful, despite what the typical attitude towards the Republican Party has been.
What do you specifically bring? What do you bring? Very educated, Johns Hopkins London School of Economics, I think?
London Business School, yes.
London Business School, okay. And experience in business?
Yes.
And how might that translate itself into an effective...
Well, it's certainly relevant, especially the business experience. And part of what's going to be a big stand and theme of my campaign is the fact that I believe in efficiency. I worked in Procter & Gamble, actually, in a factory in Woodbridge, not far from here. Very similar situation, running deficits, inefficiencies all over the place, and we had to learn how to do more with less. And as a representative, I intend to bring that same attitude towards the public sector. I don't see any reason why we can't reduce our deficit by finding inefficiencies. In fact, I was just writing a letter to the editor in response to an editorial that Congressman Pascrell published in Sunday's paper in the Herald News, in which he basically said, well, the deficits are high and the Republicans cut taxes too much and we're going to have to cut all these programs. I don't agree with that. There's no reason we should have to cut essential and fundamental social programs. We just ask them and encourage them to become more efficient.
All right, thanks for coming in. We're going to leave it there. Good luck on the campaign trail. We're going to take time here for one more break. When we come back to Power and Politics, David and I are going to have some time for some final thoughts. So please stay with us. Coming right back.